The California recall election is getting a lot of buzz lately, with several polls suggesting that Governor Gavin Newsom is in danger of losing his job. Democrats are pulling out all the stops to ensure their guy remains in office, but will it be enough? I have Liberty Nation's Sarah Cowgill with me to discuss. Welcome to the program, Sarah.
Hey, thanks, Jeff. Love to be here as usual.
Yeah, love having you. We're gonna have some fun with this one, but
we might.
Yeah. So you recently wrote an article describing the Democrats' latest messaging campaign, which is a little bit confusing, but it sounds like they're telling California voters not to vote on the second measure, which would indicate who they wish to replace Newsom if he is recalled. Can you kind of give us the rundown on that whole thing? Make some sense of
it? That is exactly what they're doing. The DNC, the California Democratic Party, CDNC, sent out an email to all their voters and basically said, vote no on the recall. We have to protect this guy. And on the second question, don't answer it. Leave it blank. And of course, most of the ballots are being mailed out. So they're getting hammered with this message to just vote no, skip the next question, and then mail it in, which a lot of people don't like being told they can't exercise their constitutional right to vote. They kind of like that little, thing. I can vote here and there and everywhere and make my own decisions. And right now, I think it's kind of a sticky wicket for Democrats anyway, with all that's going on with the Afghanistan. Everybody's up in arms over that. So you've got a guy under the gun here that may get wiped out just in, hey, he's really, he's related to that party and we don't like what's going on there. So they're basically telling people just vote no, and then don't vote at all, and just send it back in.
So just to make sure I understand, if you vote no on the recall, you're supposed to still be able to select who you would want in the event that he is recalled, right? Or if you just vote no, it doesn't nullify if you were to vote for, say, Kevin Kiley or Larry Elder. That vote doesn't go away, right?
It does not. So if you vote no, let's say I send you a ballot. You're not in California, but let's say I send you a ballot and you vote no. I don't want to recall Newsom, but if he does get recalled, then who out of these lists, and there's a long list of people, do I, can stomach until the next election? That's basically what they're asking people to do. Republicans are going to show up, like a swarm of cicadas like this past spring. That's what they're going to do. The Democrats are a little afraid of this, which is why they're asking people not to vote at all. It's a kind of a risky strategy, but let's face it, in 2003, they had a recall for Gray Davis. And that was the strategy. They told everybody then, vote no, and then leave the second question blank. Well, at the last possible second, his lieutenant governor, Bustamante, just went, oh my gosh, we can't have this happen. And he thought he was a shoo-in because, if you vote no on this guy, I'll get it. And he didn't get it. And they got saddled with Schwarzenegger. So, they don't want to repeat 2003. I don't blame them. I wouldn't want to repeat that either. But it's a winner take all, risky throw of the dice here.
Yeah, but here's what I don't understand. How would that even help them if people if they vote no on recalling Gavin Newsom, and then they just refuse to answer the second question? How does that even help Democrats? That's what's confusing me. Like, why do you think they're doing this? Well, what do they get out of it?
Well, they're just hoping more Democrats show up and vote. That's the only way they can win this. Mm-hmm. If more Republicans show up and vote no, then that second question will be answered by whoever gets the most votes. You can get 10, and if everybody else got 9 or less, you're the new guy or gal. And there's a couple of interesting guys or gals on the ballot. So
there always are in California when it comes to
elections. So they are basically hoping, and this is a fingers crossed kind of moment, they are hoping people show up of the Democrat variety and vote because the Republicans are threatening. They are right up breathing down the neck, and that's going to scare them a little bit. That's why they don't want anybody to vote on the second question. If some say I'm a Democrat, I almost fainted. Say say I vote no to recall my governor, but I'm thinking, okay, but what if, he does get recalled? Which one of these people out of there might be closest to my mindset? And the Californians don't want anybody. The California Democrats do not want anybody with, some kind of independent mindset. I would vote on the second question regardless. I mean, I would like to end up, even if my guy don't make it, I'd like to end up with something I can stomach. That's not the strategy this go around.
Yeah, and it's just, this really seems, it's not too weird when you understand how these people work, but for people who talk about voter suppression and suppressing votes, and that's a big debate right now, Jim Crow 2.0, one would think that they wouldn't be so brazen in trying to actively persuade people not to vote. That is voter suppression.
That is the classic voter suppression. And they are practicing it as if it's the only way to win in California. And it quite possibly could be the only way to win in California. I'm not entirely sure, but yes, people are not happy. I also penned a little article the other day about the reaction of regular good old Democrats saying, I'm sorry, I want to vote for somebody. I want to vote for somebody just in case my guy gets recalled. I want to have a say in who takes that seat. So there is some uproar with some, other Democrats that don't like what's going on in the California Democratic Party. And if I, again, was a Democrat in California, I'd be one of those outspoken people. If I was a Republican in California and this was going on, I would be one of those outspoken people. I would want a backup plan. And they don't really want one. They just want to roll the dice and hope for the best.
Yeah, it really seems like it. I mean, and what you said touches on an important point. I mean, they've been trying to cast this thing as just a Republican initiative, which most of it is Republicans, but there are plenty of Democrats and people who vote Democrats who are not satisfied with Newsom. And what I'm seeing, and you can let me know if you see the same thing, I'm seeing even among the people who would prefer for him to keep his job, they're not exactly fired up about it. Like the people who want him gone, they really want him gone, and they're going to be showing up to those polls. But Democrats are like, oh, okay, Newsom's okay, but what's your read on that?
Well, normally people go, we'll vote him out the next go around. But in this particular case, and you've got the perfect storm of COVID and the mishandling of so many things and the absolute in your face, gee, I'll have a party and not wear a mask, but all of you peasants, you can't, and you can't open your businesses. And he really ticked off a bunch of people. Now, whether, there are only Republicans he made mad, I don't think so. And there's only so many people that live in Hollywood that are actually, megastars and are, limousine liberals. But, you're facing down what normal people would just say, wait it out, we'll vote him out. In this case, they got enough signatures and that took a bit of time, but they got him and they got way more than they needed. So people are ticked off out in California. And I can guarantee you that it wasn't just Republicans signing that recall petition. So here we're at, and now it's up to the Democrats to decide if they want that. Okay, maybe I don't want him in office, or maybe I do want him to stay in office because I don't like the options, but just in case, what is my option? And I think that's what we're going to see.
So one thing that I've been looking at too is, and I actually wrote an article about this as well, about how this could galvanize California Republicans, because I'm a native Californian. I'm in Texas now, but I know what it's like. It's being a right-leaning person in California. You feel like you're never heard, and a lot of us have been disenchanted, don't show up to the polls because what's the point? But now I'm seeing like the fact that this race is so close, Republicans are fired up. Regardless of how this recall election turns out, do you think that there's a chance that this could this trend will continue where Republicans show up more at the polls to at least have somewhat of a say in California's governance?
If they're successful, that will energize them. It energized, everybody else. When you're felt like you're left behind for so many years, and all of a sudden what happens is somebody's listening to you and you make a difference, then it's going to encourage other people to make a difference. I know a lot of loyal friends that are left-leaners in the state of California. And I usually do not discuss a lot of, political hot button issues, but right now this one is telling me that they're seriously considering other people on that ballot.
Gotcha. That makes sense. Well, we'll be keeping an eye on this. I mean, it's the September 14th.
Oh, we will.
Yeah.
And remember this, Jeff. I mean, the vice president canceled a trip out there to help Newsom, you know, in rallies and fundraise and events. And she canceled a trip. And I don't think it's because she wanted to go to the border. And I don't think she has a clue what's going on in Afghanistan. So let's face it, people are distancing themselves from this guy already, from the top down.
Well, to be fair, she might just want to do him a favor, because when I first heard that she was going out there, I was like, why does she hate him so much? Like, she wants him to get recalled. I think, and I doubt that, you know, they have the self-awareness to know that their presence wouldn't be good for him. But still, it's very interesting how that whole thing worked out.
I agree.
Yeah. But yeah, like I said, we'll be keeping an eye on this. It's gonna the vote, I guess, is gonna happen on the 14th of September. So we'll see how this turns out. But thank you very much for joining me, Sarah, and I'll see you next time.
Always my pleasure, Jeff.
Awesome. And remember, this show is proudly sponsored by LibertyNation.com, where you can access podcasts, breaking news and analysis, and a range of biting and brilliant shows to whet your appetite for freedom and your fondness for the great American Constitution. Just go to LibertyNation.com on your browser, or hit Rumble, YouTube, or check out our Liberty Nation News Roku channel. I'm Jeff Charles. Thank you for watching. This program is a production of LibertyNation.com, conservative news where truth matters.
Who are we? We are Americans that believe in liberty. We are a project of the nonprofit One Generation Away. We are patriots who apply the founding principles to the issues of today.
And they keep moving the goalposts on us.
We are educators and commentators who love America and the Constitution. Who are we? We are Liberty Nation.